Y'all, hey, welcome back to my channel. Thanks so much for stopping by. Y'all, I am so excited. I gotta show you what I got, but before I do, before we get all distracted, go ahead and like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell so you can keep up with the shenanigans. Y'all, look what I got. I should not be doing this in the car while I'm driving, but I'm so excited. I gotta show you. I got The House on the Cerulean Sea. I've been wanting to read this book for a while, and I've been kind of dancing around it because it looks a little serious and a little sad and a little I don't know what, but here's what I know about it. It's kind of magical fantasy, and I know y'all are looking around like, who is this? Am I on the wrong channel? We don't read magical fantasy. Well, maybe we do now. So I think, here's what I think. Here's what I think I know. I think I know that it's about a dude who somehow ends up involved with some kind of home for magical youth, like an orphanage or a group home or something. Somewhere where magical youth are like magical youthing together. And I don't know, so that's what I know. I don't know, and I don't know why I think this is the case, but I feel like they're there. It's not like Hogwarts or something where they go there to learn magical youthing. Why do I feel like y'all are looking at the top of my head? I feel like they're not there to learn magical youthing. I feel like they're there, and again, I don't know why I feel like I think this. Let me look at the cover of the book while we're at a stop sign. I mean, it's a house on a cliff, so that's probably a bad sign. But anyway, I'm judging a book by its cover in like the most literal of ways. But I just got a big old truck stuck at a light, but somebody behind me just went as well. So it's more their fault than mine. Anywho, I'm running some errands, obviously. Then I'm going to go home and start reading. I should be working. I have so much to do. I got summer classes starting. I need to get those written. I need to get them listed so that I can get some people enrolled in them and actually make some summer class money. But whatever, I got a new book to read. So I'm going to start reading it. I will come back when I have any idea what in the world I've gotten us into. Because for now, I really don't know anything about this book. So let me get going on it and I'll come back and let y'all know what I know. Oh, before I do that, I know I was about to sign off. Before I do that, I mentioned this in my last vlog, but it was at the very, very end. And y'all, I know that's a whole lot of me to be watching all at once. So I want to start a book club and I'm going to do it on a Discord server. Well, I want to do it on a Discord server. If I can figure out how to do a Discord server, which I have smart friends who do that, so I know that they will help me, but I don't really know anything about it. So if you're in online book clubs or like anything other than like meet in person book clubs, let me know what you think. Let me know if you're interested in joining a book club. Let me know what you would be looking for in a book club. My thoughts are we can read a book together, and as we're reading, we can sort of be in conversation about the book, like through chat and stuff. It would be spoiler free, of course. And maybe we would say like, okay, this week we're going to read this much of the book and we'll talk about that much of the book. And then the next week we'll start like the next chunk. And as we start the next chunk, then the chunk we've already read is fair game. So we can talk about what happened in that chunk. And then if you fall behind, you just don't read the chat on the part you haven't read yet. Does that make any sense at all? I feel like I'm just babbling. But I feel like if we do it that way, then we'll be able to discuss the book kind of freely, but without spoilering it for each other. So anyway, let me know what you think. I'm still working on that, as well as all the other things. I got to learn how to do Discord and all that. So let me know what you think, or what you know about online book clubs, what you've seen work, and please definitely let me know what you've seen not work, all right? So let me do my errands. I'm going to go home and read some, and then I'll be back. Y'all, hey, I'm obviously getting ready to go get on the bike, and I just wanted to check in and let you know that I've been reading The House on the Cerulean Sea. I think I'm saying that wrong, but anyway. The House on the Cerulean Sea, and I love it. So I don't remember what I told you so far, but as seems to be a theme when I talk about books, I don't think I actually knew anything about it when I started talking about it, so I probably didn't tell you a whole lot. But Our main character is a dude named Linus Baker. And Linus is a social worker who works for a very sort of authoritarian bureaucracy called the Department in Charge of Magical Youth, the DICMY. And he travels around to orphanages where magical youth live. And early on, like right in the very beginning of the book, he tells us about an encounter that he had at one of the orphanages where somebody commented to him that it's funny that they call them orphanages because, like, that they should call them homes or something because the kids aren't there to get adopted. And Linus is like, wait, what? So we get the sense early on that there's going to be some sort of, like, that's going to be his character arc. That he's going to learn something about this organization that he works for, that maybe it's not really what he thinks it is, or it's not really what it makes itself out to be. But anyway, that's what I've learned so far. So he works for this like very bureaucratic organization, and he's just gotten a secret mission. He doesn't know what it is. He has to go to this place, which is the house on the Cerulean Sea. And once he gets there, he can like open the document that tells him what he has to do there. So that's what we're doing. That's what's happening. So I'm going to get on the bike and read some more and find out what his mission is, what's happening. So I'll check back in a while once I figure out what's going on. Y'all, I've been working on the house in the Cerulean Sea. I think I've been calling it the house by the Cerulean Sea or on the Cerulean Sea. It's in the Cerulean Sea. I think I've been saying the wrong thing this whole time. And it's been wrong in my head this whole time. Anyway, none of that matters. I've been reading. We've made it to the house in the Cerulean Sea. It's not really in the sea. It's on an island. Anyway, the house is populated with some very charming characters. I'm enjoying the book very much. I'm loving the characters. I even kind of like Linus, who's flawed. And y'all know how I love a flawed character. He's flawed in an annoying way, but he can't really help it. So I'm even growing to like him. But I love the book. I love the characters. The conflict that's building is concerning me a bit. It has to do with the occupants of the house, which I don't know why I'm trying to act all sus and like on the DL. Y'all know it's like an orphanage or a home for magical children. Well, there's some stuff. That's all I'm going to say about that. But I'm going to keep reading. Y'all can see I'm all like schmutzy and a little wilted. Well, I've been reading in the bathtub, so excuse my schmutzy wiltedness. That's what that's all about. But I'm going to keep reading. I will check back. I won't finish it today, but I'll probably finish it tomorrow. So I might go ahead and finish and check back because I'm starting to get a bit of a no-no feeling. Not like a no-no feeling about it, but like I'm getting concerned. Like, let me think how to say this without spoilers. There's conflict building that could go a certain kind of way and be very, very sad. And it would be in keeping with what we know so far in the book. So I'm worried about that. Because it could teach us a lesson that... So here's the deal. I don't know why I'm trying to act all Agent 99 and not tell you anything. There's controversy around this book because the author said that he was inspired to write the book when he heard about Canada's residential school movement. Well, that's what it was called in the United States. I don't know what they called it in Canada, but it was when Native American kids were essentially stolen from their families and put in these boarding schools and forced to cut their hair. They were forced to speak English, so they lost their language. It was a horrible tragedy. It's a blight on the history of America, and I'm sure on Canada. But T.J. Klune said that he heard about this national tragedy, and it inspired him to write this book about these magical children that are put into these homes. And I want to be careful when I speak about this because, I have Native in my background, like all Americans have Native in their background, but I didn't grow up in a home that was impacted by this movement like I know that a lot of Native Americans did. Like, I taught Native kids here in Minnesota who are like a generation out of parents who were raised by their parents who were impacted by this movement. So like these are fresh wounds. I totally understand that. I don't want to even try to speak about that any more than I just did. I just want to acknowledge that like that's as close to being affected by this tragedy as I come. But I feel like so far, the author doesn't try to brush over the idea of putting kids together in a school or like in a, I don't know, group home type environment to isolate them. He doesn't brush over that, or he doesn't like gloss over it or make it seem like it's okay. At least so far, I say that to say a couple of things. One, that that's a problem that people have with this book. And two, that knowing that about the author's history with this subject, I'm worried about what's coming. Like, I'm worried about how he's going to treat that as this conflict is building, because he is dealing with this home in the Cerulean Sea. Now I'm like, flinch when I say in the Cerulean Sea instead of on, because now I'm like, am I using the right preposition? But as he deals with this home in the Cerulean Sea, which is a place where these kids are, and these kids that like you get to know in this book and you love them and they're like sweet and charming, and now you're like, all right, what's going to happen? Because like I said before, he works for this bureaucracy, so he really doesn't have any control at all over what happens to these kids. Like, he goes and investigates, makes a report, turns it in, and then the bureaucrats decide what happens. So that's what's worrying me, is that he's going to finish his investigation, turn in a report, and then we don't know what's going to happen. Anyway, again, I keep saying I say all that. I say all that to say that I'm going to finish reading this book, and then I'll come back and give you my sort of like total overview of what I think about what I've read. All right? So let me go, let me finish reading, and then I'll be back. All right? Bye, y'all. Y'all, I finished The House in the Cerulean Sea. It was absolutely fabulous. It was all of the things that I suspected it would be and more. For like the last 100 pages, I was reading and I was like this the whole time. And the intern's like, dude, are you all right over there? Like, we need to walk this off? Like, you gonna be okay? And I think we talked about this yesterday, that I was concerned. Like I don't even know. Like, it so easily could have gone one way or the other. And it could seriously, logically have gone one way or the other. But I do not want to say a single thing about it, because I don't want to, if you want to read it, and I highly recommend it, I don't want to take away any of the thrill of discovering the things that you learn about the characters as you're learning about them. But I will say that it is charming, it is enchanted, it makes you think about things, and I think that knowing that T.J. Klune was inspired to write the book after learning about, and y'all, I'm sorry, I don't know the history of Indigenous people in Canada, but I know the history of Indigenous people in America, and knowing that T.J. Klune was inspired to write this book after learning about the plight of Indigenous people in Canada just gave it more of an edge, and it kind of made the high stakes feel more high stakes. And that's all I'm going to say about this. I enjoyed it a lot. I enjoyed the writing, and I highly recommend it. So I finished this, and I've started How to Stop Time. Now, I don't know how I came across this book. I don't know if it was on one of those like reduced priced ebook list. I have no idea. But Matt Haig, who is the author of How to Stop Time, wrote The Midnight Library. Y'all may well recall, I loved The Midnight Library. The Midnight Library is about a woman who, when we meet her at the very beginning of the book, is about to kill herself. And we spend the first, 30-ish maybe pages of the book going through the days before she is like about to die or like fixing to die. I don't remember the exact verbiage. And then she ends up in this midnight library, which gives her all of these sort of alternate routes for her life, like different ways her life could have gone if this event had gone differently or that event had gone differently. And it is just fantastic. So, loved this. So I was like, oh, Matt Haig, let's read this. So I've just started it, but it has to do with the guy who doesn't age or something, like a la Addie LaRue. And y'all know how I love The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. Like I said, I've just started it because I just got back from the house in the Cerulean Sea. So let me do some reading. Let me get into this thing, figure out what in the world it's about. And then I was going to say I'll call you back. I'm not going to call you back. I'll come back on here and let y'all know what I think, what I know, and where I think we're going. All right? So let me read and I'll be back. Morning, y'all. Just wanted to check in, let you know I am working my way through How to Stop Time. I'm about to get on the bike and read a bunch. I'm about, I don't know, halfway through, and I'm enjoying it, but I think I would like it more if I hadn't read Addie LaRue first. Because y'all recall from this video how much I loved Addie LaRue. Well, How to Stop Time is about this dude named Tom, who, remember, Addie LaRue didn't age, but nobody remembered her. Well, Tom, in How to Stop Time, ages, but he ages slower than normal. He ages at like 1/15 the rate of a normal person. So it's like he's time traveling in the slow lane, if you will. So it's an interesting concept. It's a lot of the same kind of issues that Addie LaRue has, but different. Like, how do you address the issues of people noticing you not changing? And especially, his story starts for us in like the 1500s. So it's a time when like you don't want people to think that you're like enchanted or ensorcelled or whatever. So, well, that didn't work. So, we deal with that with Tom. Now, there are parts of the book that I am finding absolutely torturous. He becomes part of this society, and I don't want to say too much, but to me, the parts of the book that are about his interaction with the leader of the society are just brutal. Like, I'm not skimming because I feel like I'm always afraid I'm going to miss something if I skim, but yeah, it's a lot. So I am enjoying the story. It's slow moving, but as I'm reading it, I'm recalling that there were parts of the Midnight Library that were also a little slow moving. So I'm gonna finish the book. I'm giving it the benefit of the doubt. I am enjoying the story. I enjoy the characters. There are just parts of it that I'm like, seriously? So I'm gonna continue time traveling in the slow lane with Tom. I'll check back in with y'all. I might check back in this afternoon and let you know. I should get a significant amount read because I have nothing else to do on the bike this morning. I have nobody to watch, nothing to listen to. So I'm just going to read for the next couple of hours. So I should get a significant amount read. There's an interesting love story aspect in this book. Again, I don't want to tell you too much, but yeah, it's an interesting take on a love story. So I'm definitely enjoying that part of the book. So let me go, let me get on the bike, let me read some more, and I'll come back later. If not today, then I'll come back tomorrow once I'm done and let you know what I think about the whole thing, all right? So I'll see y'all in a while. Y'all, I wanted to check in and let you know that I finished How to Stop Time, but literally, the instant I started talking, can y'all see the trees? The breeze picked up. I don't know how awful this sounds on my microphone, but we'll see if I can get through this. I wanted to let you know what I thought about the book. So I think yesterday morning when we talked about it, I was a little agitated. I wasn't loving it. Well, I just didn't give it enough time. I have finished it now, like I said, and I enjoyed it a lot. So our main character, I don't think I told y'all anything about what it was about other than that it was like time travel in the slow lane. So our main character, Tom, sorry, Daisy is over there digging at something in the concrete, and I'm afraid it's a bug or something that's going to sting her on her nose. Anyway, our main character, Tom, like I said, ages more slowly than the average person, right? He ages 1 year for like 15 years of like aging for the average person, which is a little awkward, right? That becomes noticeable after he stays somewhere for a while. Well, over time, he learns that there are people other than just him that have this thing going on. So without giving away too many details, I just want to say that he becomes part of this organization. And what the organization does is it sort of creates a life for these people. And all they have to do is they're allowed to like live their lives, but I think it's 7 or 8 years, they have to do something for the organization. So we follow Tom through this cycle of like being allowed to live and then having to do whatever it is that the organization wants him to do. It's a parallel timelines thing. Like we follow him through modern-ish day London and through sort of his past lives timeline, kind of like, remember Addie LaRue did the same thing? So that's another thing about this book that kind of gave me like Addie LaRue vibes, but it's just, to me, it just wasn't as good as Addie LaRue. I enjoy the book a lot. It's a slow grind. You got to work your way through it. And it does deal with a lot of issues about like time and life and love and like some philosophical things, which are really interesting, but it's work. So I'm done with it. I enjoyed it. I'd give it a solid maybe 3.5, maybe a little bit higher than that, not much higher than that, because it really was work. So I'm done with How to Stop Time. So now, y'all, I've had 2 back-to-back, like, I wouldn't say I had to work my, I didn't actually, I wouldn't say at all that I had to work my way through the house on the Cerulean Sea house, in the Cerulean Sea, on the Cerulean Sea, at the Cerulean Sea, whatever it was. I enjoyed that one quite a bit, but it was very emotional. So that one was a lot, this one was a lot, so my next book is not going to be a lot. My next book is going to be Legends and Lattes, which I think is about this big green girl making lattes and telling legends. Okay. I don't really know what it's about at all, but look how cute they are. How can this not be fun? It's a cozy fantasy book, which so far we haven't done any cozy or any fantasy. So this is what we're doing. It's a beautiful day here in the Northland, so I'm going to sit out here on my back patio with my furry felons, and I'm going to start reading Legends and Lattes. So I'll check in later and let y'all know what I think. Yo, this is a shorty. It's well under 300 pages, and I have a feeling it's going to be a quick read, so I might check in the morning with the book completely read. I don't know. But I'll check in at some point and let you know what I know about it. All right, so I'll see y'all then. Morning, y'all. I'm about to get on the bike. It is Memorial Day, so I'm waiting. My friends back home in Georgia in the American Legion, I think it's post 233. Y'all don't kill me if I get that wrong. Just correct me in the comments. But the American Legion and Just for Fun Radio are doing an event called the Ride for America. It's the 25th anniversary Ride for America this year. So I'm waiting for them to go kick stands up so I can ride virtually with them. But anyway, so we're fixing to do that. I'm going to finish, well, I'll probably finish Legends and Lattes on my ride. Y'all, it's really good. I'm enjoying this book so much. It's exactly what we thought. It's this orc named Viv, who apparently when you're an orc, your job is to war and maraud and do the things. Well, then when you get old, you can't do that anymore. So Viv has retired from her warring and marauding, and now she's opened a coffee shop called Legends and Lattes in a town where they don't know what coffee is. Y'all, it's so cute. I said in another video that people either love this book or they hate it. And I think one of the critiques is that nothing happens. And I mean, kind of nothing really happens. I mean, things happen, but it's not like an action-packed, like warring and marauding book. It's cozy. So you like hang out in the coffee shop and you meet the people in the coffee shop. It has just turned. Some things are happening. And I hope it's going to have a happy ending. I'm not really sure, so I'm going to get on the bike and read, and I'll let y'all know how it turns out. Oh, y'all. Still out here riding. I thought I would check in quickly and let you know I just finished Legends and Lattes. I'm cutting off my own head. It was so good, so sweet, so charming. I loved the ending. Sorry, I'm on the Peloton, and I can't hear the verbal cues because I turned it down because they play music, and I'm so afraid that YouTube will give me a ding for playing copyrighted music, because you shouldn't ought to do that because it's stealing people's intellectual property. So I turned it down, so I'm watching for the numbers to get my cues for what to do. Anyway, I'm talking too much. I'm stealing my own breath. So Legends and Lattes was fabulous. Y'all know how people, or I guess characters, because in Legends and Lattes, they're not just people, but kindness, like unnecessary kindness, because you know, there are folks you got to be nice to, but unnecessary or unexpected kindness from one character to another, that gets me right up in the feels airtime. So Legends and Lattes got me on that one. But it's very sweet, very charming, a very quick read. Like I said, it was, 280 something pages. Very quick read, very well worth it. There's another book in the series. I don't know if it's a duology or just there are only 2 books so far in the series. Y'all, holding this camera's wearing me out. I'm a mess. And we still got a while to go. It's gonna be a day. Anyway, I don't know if it's just gonna be a duology or if there are only 2 books so far in the series, but I'm not gonna read book 2 just yet. I'm gonna start on Emily Henry's beach read, because y'all know how I love Emily Henry. So I'm gonna get started. I have like another hour to ride. I know, y'all, this is gonna ride for another hour. But anyway, I'm gonna start reading beach read. I will check in with y'all much later after some food and a shower and let y'all know how that's going, all right? So I'll see you then. Y'all, I gotta check back in and tell you that pretty much everything, well, I guess half of what I told you in that last check-in was not correct. I did finish Legends and Lattes, that was all true, but we don't get to read beach read next, or any Emily Henry book for that matter, because I gotta read for work. But reading for work means I have to read the Inheritance Games. Can y'all even see that? Because I'm doing this in a book club this summer. Well, I'm gonna if anybody signs up for it. So I gotta read the book. It's young adult literature, but y'all, it's like legit young adult, like upper middle grades, probably high school young adult. So if you have high schoolers that have read this book, let me know. Let me know what they think about it. I'm about, 70-ish pages in, and I'm enjoying it. It's about, 350-ish pages, so it will not take me long to read it. The gist of the story is that our protagonist, Avery, out of the blue inherits this huge inheritance, and she has no idea why this old dude leaves her essentially his entire... Sorry, y'all know the felons are back there. Can y'all see them? And it makes me nervous when they're behind me in the grass because I don't know what they're doing, and it might be stuff that folks don't want to see on camera. I'm going to turn this way so I can kind of see them whilst I'm talking. But anyway, so Avery has no idea why this old dude, well, who he was, for one thing, and why he left her his money when he died. So that's what we got to figure out. That's what the Inheritance Games should tell us. So let me read. I'll come back and let y'all know. But y'all let me know if you've read it, and more specifically, if your teens have read it, what they thought. So I got to go read. I'll be back. Y'all, I got to tell you what happened this morning. So I'm reading, trying to finish the Inheritance Games, trying to figure out what's going on with poor Avery's life, because y'all, this isn't a game. This is Avery's life we're playing with here. So I'm reading, and I hear this grindy, thumpy, grindy noise. I'm like, what? Nothing in my house should be thumping and grinding. So I go into the kitchen, and it sounds like you know how there's the lever thing on the ice maker? Well, it sounds like the lever thing on the ice maker is trying to push itself down against something, which is a viable theory, except that we don't use the ice maker in our kitchen freezer, which whatever, it's a whole thing. But anyway, so that noise should not be happening. So I open the freezer, it's not coming from the freezer, it's coming from the fridge. So I text the intern, I'm like, hey, did you hear this before you left? Which of course he didn't, you moron, or he would have done something about it. Nobody leaves the house with your house making that kind of noise. But y'all, I'm all out of my mind worrying about Avery. So the intern's like, no, I didn't hear that noise. So I send him a video, which I'll try to drop the sound in here and see if y'all can hear it. But anyway, so he texts me back and says, start moving stuff from the inside fridge to the outside fridge because we're going to have to thaw it out. To which I reply, well, I have to y'all were out and about, obviously, I got to get to an appointment. I reply, well, I have to get to that appointment. And I'm thinking, and I got to figure out what's going on with Avery. I have things going on. So I had to stop reading and start moving things from one fridge to the other fridge, as the one fridge seems to be sounding like a dying cow. So I say all of that to tell y'all that things are happening. There have been developments, there are twists and turns that I didn't see coming, and y'all smarty pantses, I know y'all are thinking, Danielle, you never see the twists coming. You're not wrong, but there was one twist that I thought was coming that has not yet come. So it's still out there, it still might happen. I'm almost done. So I'm going to my appointment and I'm early. So I actually left the house a little early because I could not justify sitting at the house reading while, things needed to be done. But if I get to my appointment early and I sit there and read, well, that's fair game, right? Shameless. So I'm headed to my appointment. I'm going to finish reading. Well, I should be able to finish reading this book before my appointment because she's usually running a little bit behind, but it's morning. Like I don't know, my appointment's at 11. So there's not much time for her to have gotten behind already, but I'm early. So I don't know, we'll see. I'll let y'all, I'm like this, right? I need to. So let me get there, let me get to reading, and I'll come back later and let y'all know. Y'all, I'm gonna finish this book. So I'll come back and let y'all know how it goes. Y'all, I finished my appointment and my book. I had to wait till I got out of town to get back on here, because when I'm driving in town, odds are at least even that I'm gonna go the wrong way at least once. So I didn't want to do that in front of y'all. I actually made it out all right. So I'm headed back up the hill, finished the book. Did I tell y'all that already? I finished the book, and y'all, seriously, there were twists and turns. There was a finale that I did not see coming. I know. I was headed into my appointment saying that there were things I did not see coming. There was a loose end. I might have told y'all this already. Y'all, I'm like this right now over that whole book. There was a loose end that I was like, well, that's still hanging out there. And I thought they were just, forgot. Nope. That's all I'm going to say. I was 100% wrong about what I thought was going on. That is nothing new, my friends. But now I want to talk about all the things, and we can't because we're spoiler free. So you know what I think I'm going to do? I was going to say, you know what I'm going to do? You know what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to work on, I've said this before, but I'm going to set up a Discord server thing. And in the Discord server thing, we can have different discussion threads. And so we can have discussion threads where we have spoiler conversations about books, because I don't want to have a conversation where somebody's just like, oh, well, what about when this happened in this book, which might be a spoiler for somebody else, because I don't want somebody to stumble across that. But I can make little rooms in the Discord server where it's non-spoiler free conversations about the inheritance games. And we can go in there and we've all read the book. And so we can all talk about whatever we want to talk about. And y'all, look over my shoulder. There is a car right there, or a truck just parked in the go lane, just sitting there nobody's going to want to go in that lane, whatever. Anyway, not my circus, not my monkeys. So yeah, that's but I need to pay attention to what's happening in this lane. That's what I'm going to do. But y'all, I'm going to get up off here because one, I've been talking for a week, and two, I need to pay attention to my driving or I'm going to wreck my car, and the intern will be very unhappy that I wrecked while I'm talking on the camera. So y'all, I got to go. Y'all, thank you so much for hanging out with me. If you made it this far, we're definitely friends. So go ahead and like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell so you can keep up with the shenanigans. I upload food and fitness videos at the beginning of every week with some book videos sprinkled in between. See you on the next one.